Okay. Yeah. John. Well, welcome, everyone. I wish that we didn't have to be here today, but it's touching to see such a full house to remember Sue Hoffman. Following our funeral service here in the sanctuary, we will proceed to Glendale Cemetery on University for our graveside service and interment. And after that, we'll return here for a meal of consolation. And everyone is invited to join the family at that time. There will be a Shiva service tonight at 7 o'clock at Sue's house at 5977 Pommel Circle. Is that right? So 7 o'clock Shiva service tonight. And if you have not yet silenced your phones, now's a good time to do so, please. Shiviti, Shiviti, Shiviti Adonai, lenegdi tamid. I've set the eternal always before me. God is at my side, I shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult and my soul rejoice. My being is secure. For you will not abandon my spirit in the face of death, nor let devoted ones be destroyed. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. Adonai ma'adam v'tedaehu ben-enosh v'techashvehu. God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you're mindful of us? We're like a breath. Our days are like a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, "Return, O mortal creatures." If only we were wise and we understood where we're going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory doesn't accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They shall have peace. If you know the words or if you have them on the handout in front of you, please join me in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me to lie down in green pastures. God leads me beside the still waters. God restores my soul. God guides me in straight paths for God's name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. From Proverbs 31, the passage known as Eshet Chayil, woman of valor. Looking at these words, it seems how fitting they are for Sue. Eshet Chayil mi yimtza, a woman of valor who can find. She's more precious than fine pearls. Her husband trusts in her, so he lacks nothing. She does him good, never harm, all the days of her life. She perceives that her labor is rewarding. Her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom. The law of kindness is on her lips. Her children rise up and bless her. Her husband sings her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you excel them all. For everything, there's a season, a time for every experience under heaven. There's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what's been planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. This is a time to speak, and what a life to speak about. Sue was a little bit of a spitfire. And there was a lot of life, a lot of energy, a lot of personality wrapped up in that diminutive little package. And it's true that Sid, of blessed memory, he was known for his larger-than-life personality. And Howard, Heidi, Wendy, you were all emphatic that today is about your mother, not about your dad. But it says a lot that even next to someone like your dad, that your mom stood out on her own in her very own way, with qualities and character that spoke for themselves in a way that made this meaningful and positive impression, and so quickly. And for a nice Jewish girl from the Chicago suburbs, she never hesitated to step up to what life had to offer her. And she had a lot to offer life. And she was giving, she was helping, she was generous, and she was always there for the people in her life. And as you put it, she enjoyed being around people and doing fun stuff. It's a good life. When she was a young woman, that included heading to Southern Illinois for college, where she met Sid, and they knew right away. So back to Des Moines, finishing school at Drake, stint as a special education teacher, and then making and raising a family. Howard, Heidi, and Wendy. You were emphatic that your mom was always there for you, super involved, attending every event, making your home a welcoming place for everyone, and being like a second mom for your friends. And she made everyone feel welcome, like they were a part of things, like they were in the mix. She was always hosting or helping with something. And that may have been Shabbat dinners, holiday meals, Passover seders. There was always room at the table, absolutely making sure that everyone had a place and felt welcome. Every event was special. And it got those special touches like homemade birthday cakes or the special matzo balls that she would make with Ryan that you got to make with Mui. There was always plenty of food and plenty of love. And she was active, involved, there for everything for her kids and her grandkids. And she was filled with pride for all of them. She loved her kids, of course, but there's nothing quite like love for grandchildren. And she made sure that there were special times with all of them, whether it was sleepovers or special shopping trips or cooking together. Her family was really her pride and joy. And not just pride, but she was there for them. She had your backs at every step of the way. And she would be supportive, whatever you had going on, even if it was a harebrained scheme of some sort. She would ask questions, but she would be supportive. And always up for anything. If you had an adventure to propose, she was in. She may not have been the one to come up with the adventure, but she was always up for it, never turning down an opportunity, even if it's a fish concert in Ames. With this attitude of embracing life for what it had to offer, she showed up. And she always showed up with her characteristic necklace, or, for much of her life, that read, "Oh shit." And that was back when that was still a shocking thing. And it's important not to edit that in honor of her memory. That was just one clue to her sense of humor. It was dry, sharp, always on, and definitely inappropriate. Of course, she could be down to business when she needed to be, alongside Sid at Manufacturer's Furniture Showroom, where she was officially the office manager. But her real job, something along the lines of VP in charge of keeping Sid in line. Being the voice of reason, the calming factor, the yin to his yang, they made a great pair together. And she may have been Sid's wingman, in a lot of ways everyone's wingman, always there to make sure things came off well, but she was no shrinking violet herself. She had her good-spirited feistiness, and she was a fighter, too. And she proved that when she kicked breast cancer in the Tuchus nearly 25 years ago. She beat it like a champ. And she didn't stop there. She dove into volunteering for Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. And it's not just her. She dove in and brought everyone with her, turning it into a family affair every year. It was a big family event. Her life was filled with volunteering. And in particular, she was very involved in the sisterhood and leadership. And it was always about the people that she was involved with in those efforts. She loved adventure. She loved participating, but it was always about the people that it connected her to her. Because as much as her friends, or as her family was her life, so were her friends. Because her friends really were her family as well. And here in Des Moines, she had so many friends, including her weekly Mahjong group. She had her Saturday group. This is amazing. Every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, on the phone together for an hour. Then meet up for lunch and sit around and schmooze and kibitz and eat until the place would close down. And when she moved to Florida, it was no different. Immediately, making a new family of friends and becoming a part of each other's lives so that they filled each other's lives with joy. Not just passing the days, as would be so easy. They didn't just pass the days, they lived together. They made life full. Sue was not done with life. She was still making plans and wanted to make the most of everything, to enjoy the people in her life. And in a way, even though her death was unexpected, it's fitting that rather than a drawn-out decline, her life came to an end, but she was still in gear and ready to go. Sue Hoffman lived a full and engaged life and always made sure that the people around her had a chance to do the same. She lived a good life, and for the people who knew her, their lives were better for having had her in it. As all of you put it, she was just awesome. May her memory be a blessing, just as her life was. Birth is a beginning and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage. From childhood to maturity and youth to age. From innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing. From foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom. From weakness to strength or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness, and back, we pray, to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith. From defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage, from birth to death to life everlasting. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. God gives, God takes, blessed be the name of God. We rise for El Malei Rachamim. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Utehorim, Kezohar Harakia, Mazhirim. Et Nishmat Shai Gittel Bat Yosel V'Shifra, Shehalcha Le'olama. Ba'al Harachamim, Yastireha B'Seter Knafav, Le'olamim. Veitzror Bitzror HaChaim, Et Nishmata. Adonai Hu Nachalata. Vetanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava, V'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Sue Hoffman, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen.